Hi, my name is John Carruthers. I've been working on guitars for the last 45 years. I've worked with such companies as Fender, Yamaha, Ibanez, Martin, and Gibson, and many others. If you'd like to learn more about working on your guitar, you can get my book, Teach Yourself Guitar Repair and Maintenance, on Alfred Publishing. Today we have a precision bass, and this is kind of a standard of the industry. We have several things that we need to do. One is we want to take off the old strings, so we'll carefully do that. A lot of players like to save their old strings because if they accidentally break one, then they'll have a spare. It's not a bad idea. Bass strings are fairly expensive, and so most people try and make them last as long as possible. So we very carefully unwind it. We come down here and slip it through, and be careful not to scratch the guitar. It's very interesting, but the precision bass was named after the fact that the bass had frets, and that allowed you to get an instrument to play in tune, whereas previously most basses were fretless, and so people always had to struggle with the intonation. So we have this set here, and this is a 45 through 105 set. So we're going to open it up, and we're going to take a look at the strings. They're individually packaged. You know, it's 45 through 100. We're going to start with the 100. And then we're going to put it on the bass first, and then we'll move to the next ones. So we take it carefully out of the package. We want to unwind it so that it doesn't accidentally poke us in the eye. So we just very carefully unravel it. Now, we're going to take and insert it into the bridge down here. So I'm going to take this end here, put it in, very carefully slide it through. Okay, now once we get up here, we need to about 5 inches past where the tuner is. Now if you don't know where that is, you could take a little small ruler and you could measure it like this. If you see where my finger is, that tells us that we have 5 inches. Okay, then we're going to take and we're going to bend the end of the string so that it's kinked. And we do that for two reasons. One, it marks the spot where the 5 inches is. And the other thing, it prevents the winds from unwinding. A lot of times when you cut a string straight, if the windings unwind a little bit, the string will go dead and that will ruin it. And bass strings are very expensive, so you want to make sure that nothing like that happens. So now we're going to cut it off. So we're going to take our side cutters and we're going to cut it off, but we'll leave maybe about a ½ an inch of string sticking down past the bend, and we'll just trim it off. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this end and we're going to put it down in the hole. There's a hole in the middle of the capstan. And then once we get it in there, we're going to start winding it around so we don't have to spend a lot of time turning the knob. And I'm going to wind it so it winds downwards. We always want each turn to be successively down from the previous one. This helps put pressure in the nut and makes it sound better. You notice over here we have a thing called a string tree, and that's what that does. That basically pulls the strings down to make it so that there's more pressure in the nut and that the strings sound very defined and clear. Okay, now I can push the extra windings together so there's no slack. And then you can see how nice and neat we have it here. If you look, you can see how the winds are tight. And now I can put this on the saddle here. It's slipped off. There we go. And then we can tune it up close to pitch. And we're ready for the next string. Now that you have your strings on, you should stretch them out, because what happens is there's a little bit of inequity. Some places around the capstan and over the bridge may not be as good as they are, and the strings themselves stretch a little bit. So if you just tug on them like this and move up and down, make sure you got it plugged into your tuner, and then just retune it back to pitch again. And then stretch it again. And when you get to where it doesn't go out of tune anymore, then it's sufficiently stretched out. And then you can move to the next string. Notice how it dropped in pitch just a little bit. So we're going to tune that up. Okay, so now it's stretched out and staying in tune.